guys, I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, TV shows. And speaking of comic books, let's talk about the final issue of Young Justice. So it dropped this week, and actually I think it dropped last week. But unfortunately, it did not end on a high note. Young Justice ended on a very, very low, very weak note. So this is issue number 20, as you can see. And they got Naomi front and center. Even though Naomi is barely in the issue, she's barely been in most Young Justice issues recently, but she's always front and center on the comic because she sells. But this was an incredibly weak comic. So really this series ended on the last comic when they were finally able to vanquish their foe. But in this one, first of all, it opens up focusing on Teen Lantern, and we get some background on Teen Lantern, you know, kind of how he got his power. He doesn't have a ring, but how he was able to harness the Green Lantern energy. And then, and I keep saying he because I always thought it was a he up until this issue when I realized that it's a she. So please forgive me if I keep calling Teen Lantern a he. It's not a he, it's a she, and that's my fault. That's my fault. It's a she. And then, you know, Young Justice comes together, and there you've got Drake, you know, Tim Drake, you've got Superboy, Impulse, Jenny Hex, Naomi, you know, you got the whole group here, spoiler, Wonder Girl, and they go to their old headquarters that is now property of the Justice League. And when they get there, ta-da! It's being guarded by Red Tornado. So what happens when Red Tornado awakens? Is he like, hey, you guys are Young Justice. I know you guys. Or does he go berserk and try to attack them? Of course, Red Tornado goes berserk and tries to attack them. And it's not even a good fight. It is flushed out pretty quickly. It's flushed out pretty quickly. Teen Lantern ends up being the one that handles it. And at that point, John Stewart shows up. And guess what? This is kind of the climax of the episode, is John Stewart being present. Because the rest of the episode, or the rest of the issue, is John Stewart chewing out Young Justice. And eventually allowing Young Justice to stay in the headquarters. There's nothing to this. This is basically an epilogue issue that kind of ends with them being together and not really going anywhere except back to the headquarters. It's a weak ending that didn't really have any impact on the DC universe, and it didn't really wrap up any stories. It was just a let's have a couple Justice League guest stars come in here for no reason whatsoever to end the story. By the way, I have to talk about this. That is such a funny, I don't know why. Be a hero, wear a mask. I get the sentiment, and I agree with the sentiment. I just think, you know, 30 years from now, we're going to look back at this comic, and we're going to be like, let's be real, nobody's going to look back at this comic. But we're going to look back at some comics that came out during this era, and we're going to see this ad, and we're going to be like, ah, yes, I remember that. I remember the pandemic. You know, the colors are bright. You know, the colors are pretty bright in all of Wonder Comics. Really contrasting colors. Definitely easy to look at and easy to follow the action. But the problem is just nothing happens here. Nothing happens here. It's not a good comic, and it's a bad ending for what was ultimately not a very good run of Young Justice. So that's my comic review for this week. Wanted to let everybody know it's okay to skip this book. It's okay. You're not missing anything. So, guys, thank you for joining me here at the LQ Review. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and until next time, we'll see you later.